All right, and we are live. Everybody's coming over from Steve KM and Giant G's temporary offline's stream with Ed Hare from the ARR Lab. Great stream, by the way. Today we're going to be joined by, or are already joined by, Jason Johnston, Whiskey 3 Alpha Alpha X-Ray with Parks on the Air. Before we get going too far, though, everything I do pretty much on this channel is to support getting youth and who I call my Padawans on the air. I'm not going to spend too long on that, but there are some links down below. I would definitely appreciate, if you have a, minute to click one and help out the Padawans, please do. If you have an old radio you are not using, I know a kid who can. And on that, we're just going to roll on with it. So we're up to 105 folks in here already, and which is awesome. And so go ahead and introduce yourself, Jason, and tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about how Parks on the Air got started before we start digging into some of the newness.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Steve. It's really appreciated, and thanks to everyone that's been supporting Parks on the Air over the last, it's been 4 years now. It seems like it's been a bit of a blur. We've been growing immensely, and I really appreciate everyone tagging along with us on the ride. Parks on the Air kind of came out of what folks might have remembered with the ARRL in America in 2016, had a bit of a push to try to get somewhat of a pseudo partnership with the parks people and different national parks. We had the National Parks on the Air program done by W3AAX, Norm Fisaro and Sean Kutzko. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his pronunciation of his name, but KX9X is his call. They were instrumental in building that program, and I had such a good time with it. I personally was licensed in December of 2013, believe it or not. It's not been that long. 2014, I was, just learning the ropes. 2015, I was really heavily into SOTA. And then in 2016, when the ARRL did the Podo, National Parks on the Air, I was really into it as an activator and a hunter chaser. And after a few months into it, I did not want to see it die. So I asked them, are you guys, do you have the budget and interest to keep this going? And they were into it, but they just could not keep it going after that year. And I thought, well, maybe we should try to keep this going in some capacity. So I reached out to all the very well-skilled developers I knew and some administrators and whatnot, and formed a team, and it's been going crazy ever since.
So it's definitely been growing. That's Podo is obviously that's my kid's child unit's favorite ham radio activity. In fact, yesterday she was on a stream with a bunch of, I was going to say YLs, but there was one young man on there for a while, and that was everything that every time it came up, what do you enjoy doing? That's her thing, is Podo. Steve, temporary offline, his daughter Astro Lee has got a channel, same thing. She loves that Podo. And so it's great for, just about everybody in the hobby. It's, the young folks get into it because it's outside. It's something fun to do. And us older folks like it. I'm old enough. I drag the camper with me and I activate that way a lot of the times. And it's just a great outreach to get new folks there. So we're going to take a quick second and kind of, actually, I'm not going to say hi to 134 people. I'm just going to say hi to 134 people, because that's a lot of folks, and we definitely appreciate y'all being here. As we dive into some of the new stuff, if you have a question, go ahead and just throw it up in the chat. We're going to try to keep up with that. If you would start it off with the word question in all caps to kind of help me out. And then, some of the folks with spanners, that's my new word for wrench ever since Ham Radio DX started throwing it around. I was like, okay, it's going to have to be a spanner now. If you've got a spanner, kind of remind me of it, or, if I miss a question, throw it back in there again. And Andy Cowley, thank you very much for that super chat. That, like I said, that definitely goes to help further radio with a bunch of youth. So it's all yours. You want me to hit the share screen, or you want to? What do you want?
Sure, you can go ahead and share, and I'll kind of just talk a bit on the side. I appreciate this platform to be able to share with you guys some major changes that we've made today as far as support on Parks on the Air. You guys might have already known the pota.us site. That's the first site that we built that, and it still looks similar to this new site. Podo.app is our new production site for spotting and kind of like a centralized area for all things Parks on the Air. The Podo.us site initially that we built that just went away, that was pretty much just for spotting in particular. Now we've kind of added more features to it. So hopefully this will be the one-stop shop for you guys. And before I go forward, please, when you get a chance, go to the Parks on the Air homepage. That's just parksontheair.com. And if you look at I try to make it easy for you guys to find out who works on the program behind the scenes. We got our program and administrator section, but more importantly, go to technical staff. And if you look at the tech admins here, these are the guys that really do a boatload of work for us on the behind the scenes. Give them a kudos, give them an attaboy, tell them what you appreciate about the program, because these guys hear a lot about what issues people have on support and everything. But please give them a shout out that they do a whole lot of work it's not paid. We rely on donations to keep our operations going, but this is a all volunteer network of about 100 people behind the scenes at POTA. But these guys are really instrumental, and they do not grow in trees. So keep.
And yeah, that's in fact I meant to point that out earlier. And Izzo Smoke Signals RF said the same thing, even down to the folks that you email your logs to and stuff. Just take that minute and say thank you. And speaking of thank yous, I neglected to say this at the beginning. Enjoy your Memorial Day, and be thankful for what we have. So
yeah, definitely think if you're in the United States, please think a memorize one that's in your family or in your that you just look up to, that's a fallen hero, because without them we can't do any of what we're doing right now today.
Sir.
And that's a good segue. If you are looking at who processes my logs, we do have it go to a kind of a standard website. A standard email address, because we want it to be easy for you guys just to send them on their way. But these are the guys behind the scenes that work on these logs, and give a shout out to them as well. They take thousands of these things. And when I just split up our old good friend K4WP Bill the Deloach, he's still with us to an extent, but he just turned 80 recently, so he's thought that it'd be best to split up the call area. And I got a few hands on deck already. I really appreciate W3SPC Steve, the other Steve KO4AFL, and Ken4SWS John. I also have Hillary AB1CD. That's actually her real call sign. She's actually going to be helping out in K4 soon. I haven't had a chance to add her to the on deck arena here, but I will be adding her soon, and I really appreciate Hillary helping us with the K4 logs.
There are a lot of familiar names popping up. You mentioned Sean Kutzko, and he did a great satellite presentation yesterday. And then Steve KO4AFL, he has gone out of his way to help get my kiddos licensed and whatnot. So it's good to hear folks that are active in several different areas of the hobby. It's awesome.
Very much. And we had a great spotting page before, but just to show you guys what we've made some big changes. And this is all official today. We've taken away all the pointing to pota.us away, and we're all funneling everyone to the new pota.app site. And this is good for all types of iOSs. If it's no matter if it's iOS for Apple, if it's Android for your phone, if it's on the browser on your computer, it all works on all platforms the same exact way. So that's another reason why we wanted to focus on this page as our kind of our app. We don't look to other people to do apps for us. We do our own, and I really appreciate our dev team doing that for us. Let's start off with the ability to filter and sort spots and activations. That's the first thing people noticed really on this new page that we did not have before. We didn't have a way to do cookies where you logged into the site and it based all your preferences and things on your login. Now we actually have that ability to do that where it won't forget all the things that you've selected. So just to show you what I personally do on the phone, this looks better because it's in cards, as you can see. But on the desktop, I prefer it to be like a table view. So what I'll do is I'll just click on the to show you this little ellipse 3 hamburger style icon, and I'll go down here to prefer table view, and bam, now it puts it in more of a nice table. But also, I don't like the brightness on this. I'm going to go back, and also I'm going to turn late shift mode on so I can really see it pop and look beautiful on my desktop window. And now I can sort it, like I said, however I want. So as you've noticed here, we've got the ability to sort by all sorts of filters. We've got bands. I can do any band, and in Podo we do all bands. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 70 centimeter on here on occasion, maybe 60 meter, all sorts of bands. We accept all bands and all modes as well. So you can sort by, hey, I just want to see CW on the spotter. That's all I want. I can do that. I can do, hey, I just want to do all FT8 today. I don't care about anything else. Or, you know what, I'm just new to the hobby. I want to do CW and FT8 and things in the future, but right now I just want to see phone, so I can do SSB on the side there too.
And this is a much asked for feature. I mean, this is amazing right here. So
I really appreciate the feedback. And as we are growing right now, we've just got Canada and the US on here, but I have recently seen Italian, Grecian. I've seen Dominican Republic. I've seen all sorts of different countries, Wales, you name it, pop up here. And you can actually sort, hey, I just want to see one country alone, and I would just want to see them on my phone, and I just want to see, whatever. You can do that as well. You can really fine tune the filters on here. I'm going to go ahead and take this back all to all so I can see everything. The QRT is really helpful. I always have mine on hide because I don't want to see when people go QRT, but we do have it where people can put in the comments, hey, I'm going QRT, and I like to hide those. Right now, there's no one that's doing that, but if there was someone saying, hey, I'm going QRT, if I say hide, it'll actually automatically hide those away from me so I don't have to be bothered by people leaving the park. And if I've already hunted them, it'll actually track that. Once I've spotted somebody, let's say I talked to K9 HMX here, and I'll hit respot, it'll actually gray out this. It'll look just like this. And I can actually filter those out where, hey, it's not forever. It's just for the UTC day. But if I've already contacted him on this session, I can say hide that where I don't even see it on my page anymore.
Does that, because, if I work them on a different band or something, we're still good, right? It doesn't hide it on other bands when he switches bands?
It's just this one spot.
That one spot. Okay, sweet. That's awesome.
And I can actually sort it by any mode that I wish, as far as, hey, do I want to know, is this activator, is it a club doing multiple parks? I can do it by activator. If I just want to see it by frequency, I can sort it that way and see, all my, CW 40 meters is there, on my phone 40 meters is there, my CW is on 30, etc. I can do mode, group all the CWs together, see all my phone together, that type of thing. References, if there's multiple activators at a certain park, I can tell by doing that way. The park name, I could do it by alphabetical order of the park if I want to do it that way. Region, I can do let's see, by the DX entity. I could do it by Canada, then I got Alaska, I've got Alabama, and I'll do it in alphabetical order of the state and by country at the same time. And finally, I can do it by who's spotting these guys, who's group by the actual spotter in alphabetical call sign order as well. Cool. That's kind of the run through and all the different filterings that you can do. I know it was a lot of information at one time, but if you have definitely any questions, we're only an email or a Slack channel message away.
Yeah, and the Slack channel, I have it up over here. if you're not on the Slack, if I remember right, it's on the Parks on the Air website too.
And we have made some major changes to our FAQ. It is on the FAQ here. It's the second question. How do I get to Slack? You just click on this link. We just put it in here where it'll take you straight to it. We have been making lots of changes this weekend, so please bear with us over the weekend. There might be a little bit of buggy nuances here and there, but we promise after a couple days this will all come together and make more sense. But if you do see something that's kind of out of whack, just give it a little bit of time before you report it to us, if you don't mind. But this is production right now.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch it change too. Jarek and I have been using the new one since you and I spoke. Golly, it's been like January or something like that when we spoke. And it's funny. She prefers the cards. I prefer the table. We each have our so when you look at hers, it takes me a second to wait, hang on, but it's great. I like that you can customize the way things look and feel.
And with it's called Cognito from AWS is what we use for our backend. With the Cognito doing the cookies and saving that information where you log in, thank goodness you don't have to do it every time like you used to. That's a huge difference. Let's talk about scheduling activations. If you up here at the top, you'll see spots is where I was hanging out pretty much for that section. If I go to activations, I can see all the new activations that are being planned, and they go pretty well into the future too. There's a bunch of them in here. If I'm ready to add one, I can go down here at the bottom and say add activation, and right there I can put in my it already knows who I am, so I'm logged into the site, but I can put my reference when I'm going to be there. Always use TC for ham radio, please. The frequency, if I want to put a comment, do it right there, hit save, bam, it's going to be put into this list here. And this is all also sortable by different ways, just like the other page. I can do it by period of time too. I can just want to see today's, bam, there you go. There's 41 in there just for today, 7 days. And well into 30 days, I can, see all of them as well if I want to see well into the future. So
that's cool. I like that you can do it all in one spot. And, I've been known to not even schedule an activation. A lot of times I just have the radio in the truck anyway, and I'll just be passing a park and I'll spot myself. So, to those of you who haven't tried it yet, don't feel like you necessarily have to. If you're at a park, now granted, you have to have an account with Parks on the Air to submit your logs, but you can go ahead and, in fact, you're sitting here right now, open another tab and just take care of that while we're doing this or right afterward.
Yeah.
But you can go to a park and just spot yourself, and if you didn't schedule an activation, it's no big deal. You can still go through all the fun of Podo that way.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I rarely would ever be able to tell you when and where I'm going to be at any certain time, but there's nothing like going just sporadically out to a park and be like, hey, I'm just going to see what I can get on this band in this mode right now and see what happens. And I promise you, 99 times out of 100, if you've got a decent antenna, which would be a vertical, or if you had definitely check with the rangers before you start plopping up dipoles. But if you are able to use a dipole or whatever you got, I guarantee a 10 QSOs, especially during these solar conditions, is not that hard to do. Even QRP, and I see it all the time. Yeah,
in fact, you say as long as you have a decent antenna, and I've used a fishing sign for a POTA activation. And I was working Arizona and Nevada. it's New Mexico. So, just have a good tuner.
Exactly.
But don't let you not being scheduled or, whatnot get in the way, because he's perfectly right. If you've got something that can get you on the air and you can get a spot, boom, you can make an activation most of the time. So
big time. It's a lot harder than it sounds. It's almost like, I know people get intimidated by the mic fright and things like that before they get to the park, especially if they're new hams, but sometimes it's good just to dive into the pool, and I promise 99 out of 100 times you're going to swim one way or another.
Well, and if there's ever a group that is welcoming of new people. It's the Podo people. You know, if you put out there, this is my first activation, they're going to guide you through exactly what you need to do. So don't worry about that. That's, in fact, Curtis, who's in here right now. You know, I made his butt come out to my camper one day and I put him on the air, and that's how he got started in. Then I put his kid on the air, and Adam K6ARK worked him. And so he, you know, his son Walter thinks that Adam's the mountain climbing, you know, hero. So
that's cool. That's the way the hobby grows. I really appreciate you guys, you know, being nice to people and trying to, you know, help them out, because the more, you know, accommodating we are on getting people into the hobby, the longer the hobby is going to live, and the better the quality I think the hobby will be, you know, over time. But let me go back to the spotting page here and show you guys some really nice features we also added. And these are where you can turn them on and off. You don't have to have this show up. And the way you do that is you go to that same hamburger 3-line ellipse icon here. And if you go to the bottom, you'll say show user stats. I can turn it off, and what I mean by that is if I hover over top of someone's call sign, it doesn't show me any extra information. I can click on it if I want, but it doesn't really give me any of this type of information I'm looking for. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll turn it on. And now if I hover over top of someone's icon, their either icon or their name here, it gives me stats. And this is a great example of how do we find out who's new and who's a veteran? This guy here, W0MOC, it looks like it's the Missouri Outdoor Club. It's a club call sign, most likely. They've done one successful activation out of one park. I just shifted on me. Sorry about that. They've got 201 QSOs as activators. They've hunted 25 parks, 25 QSOs, and they've got 2 awards earned with no endorsements yet, but I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to come to someone a little more maybe advanced, let's look at Pierre. He's our Canadian POTA admin. He's got 141 successful activations. 112 of those are unique. 5,872 QSOs. 3,152 unique parks as a hunter. 8,650 QSOs. And he's got 42 awards with 178 different endorsements. And that means like he's worked at least like 10 parks on 40 meters. He might have an endorsement on doing all CW. It does keep track of that information. I'll show you more details about that in a little bit too. View stats. So let's see. Let me show you what I mean. So the one cool thing.
I'm going to interrupt real quick because Chuck KK6USY asked a question, and I'm going to tease you, Chuck, and say you're going to have to wait a minute before we talk about that one. So
the upload of logs. Yes, that is it. We've been talking about it coming, I know, for quite a while, but we are right at the doorstep of that. We just wanted to get out this information first, right before we do go to the uploads, because the uploads is going to change the way that game, you know, takes place immensely. But going back,
it is coming though. It's just not quite there yet.
Yeah, we're on the cusp, if you know what that means. The one thing that they just added that I knew they had it, but I didn't know they had it to this extent, which was really nice to see. If you once you're logged into the site, you hover over top of your call sign and picture if you've got one, and the pictures are used with Gravatar. I'll go into that later if you want to add one. You don't have to add one. It's kind of it's one of those optional deals. But if you click on My Awards, this is changed in a really nice way. You can come in here at any time and get any award that you've earned. We're talking like this is my Working 1000 as a hunter award here. I've got the NC11, I'm sorry, the N1CC Activator Hunter Awards, worked all states, the kilo that I got for working at Jonas Green State Park here in Maryland, and even down to the by-year New Year's Awards and also the Hunters Awards.
And it's kind of small for me on my screen, but those are the PDF files right there that you can click and open. Is that what
make
those?
It a little bit bigger for you guys.
Well, no, I think they're fine. It's just me and the way I've got my stuff set up. But
yeah, you just click on here where you'll see like a color green light up of it, and it's got a little PDF icon here. If I click on this, it'll actually download the award for me, and I can do it anytime, as many times as I wish. So if you're like, oh, darn it, I lost the download I had for my working 900 different units, you can go in here and click on it anytime and bam, snag it. That's really helpful. Let me
All
make it.
right. Got a quick question. It's actually from Steve using Paula's account, but wants to know if the national parks on the air activations of 2016 count towards POTA site for an activator.
Yes, the great thing about POTA is we do not have any starting validity dates, which means that we don't really have a timestamp on when is it too early to send us a log. I mean, the odds of you knowing that in 1974 you were in a certain park and working that's we'd accept it, but I mean that's kind of going way far back. But definitely, even in 2005, if you were at a state park and you worked 30 people, we would love to see the log. There's no reason why we would prevent you from sending that log.
That's awesome right there. So the short answer is, yep, send in your log.
Yep, it definitely counts. We have lots of NPOTA people that have been hanging out with us right at 2017 on the onset of it, and we love to see old DX, expeditions. I just got a upload from CY9C. That was the St. Paul Island expedition, and it was in a park there, and they sent us the log, and it was thousands upon thousands of QSOs, but they all counted for everybody, and it was great to see that happen. And I'd love to see like Baker Island come in. I'd love to see Navassa Island, the K1N guys. I've never reached out to them, but it's something I thought about doing maybe at some point, and getting credit for those, because those are national wildlife refuges that are really difficult to get to. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna, because Don Izzo has a good point. Okay, even if you don't make your 10 contacts for an activation, send in your log anyway, because it still counts for your hunters and it still counts for contacts. It may not count as an activation, but all the other metrics still count.
Exactly.
So, and you never know. You may be that person that somebody's waiting on North Dakota. Lord knows I waited a while for North Dakota. And if you get 8 and you're in North Dakota, I know a few people that would really like to get that one. So go ahead and send it in and log it and everything. So
very much appreciated. Yeah, even if you get one, I had one instance where I went to a park and I literally got one contact, but you know what? I still uploaded it because I wanted that guy to get credit, no matter if my credit counted for anything. You know what I mean?
Then John's got another question, and I want to get to this cool page that you're on here, but John's asking, what criteria must a park require to count as a POTA park or an entity?
That's no problem at all. And this is on our FAQ. If you have a question, please go to the FAQ section first, if you don't mind, because I guarantee you 99.9% of them are covered there, as this one. But basically, since this started in the U.S., I was trying to think of a way where we could have boatloads and boatloads of parks for people, but yet not have every Kool-Aid stand in America on our list. So I decided to go by national and state level parks only. And I know it's kind of frustrating because some states have a lot more state parks than others, but it was just the easiest criteria that I could come up with that kind of branched from the NPOTA days. I thought, let's just add the state parks to it and call it a day. Everyone's got usually within an hour to 2 hour driving distance to get to a park in the United States that's state or national. In another country, like he was in England, I kind of try to get them to do the same type of thing, but there's different rules. Some people have provinces or regions or districts and all that. And I kind of leave it up to the country's POTA admin, and for England that would be Andy Ragg. That's G18W, I believe his call sign is. So send them a message and ask them about a park if you've got something in particular. They do have their own criteria, but it really fits as much as close as possible to that national and state level park area, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to this is another really cool thing that I just noticed today, matter of fact. I knew they had this coming into a certain degree, but not to this level. It's awesome. This shows me exactly where I sit on my awards. Like I've got 197 unique parks activated. at 200, I get my next award level. I'm only 3 away from that. That's crazy. So I just noticed that I'm really close to getting another level from my parked activations of unique parks. And hunted, it shows me that I've got 1,500 to go to get that next award. I'm sitting at 1012, and it shows me a representation of how close I am to it. Late, shift, same thing, park to parks. I'm going to get another one at 1150. I got 1144 right now. And this goes to the states I've activated. It kind of has a nice graphical representation of what those are. And there's that ever elusive Hawaii contact that I need to hunt.
All right, there's I don't remember his call sign. There's a Hawaii fella that's been in and out of the streams. Go activate a park, because I know a guy who needs Hawaii. So
There you go. I always, for some reason, they're the tough. Probably because I'm in Maryland. It's like the farthest point, DX wise to get to that state if you're not in a different country altogether. But yeah, I have seen a lot more of the Hawaiian activators out there, and I'm really commend you guys. I'm really appreciative you guys getting out there and getting the option to get that on the air, because it's not easy. And this shows you some of the other really fine-tuned, nice graphical representations of, okay, Delaware, I've worked 35 out of 44. I'm really close to getting that. Thankfully, I already have my award for DC. When there was a point where 23 was the cutoff. We have added more parks to DC. My award still counts, but it shows me that if I want to, if I'm a completist like I am, I'll want to go back out and activate those other parks that are out there, even though I have that award already. And same for Maryland. I'm really getting kind of close. They keep moving the goalpost on me, but that's okay. And I've got a lot of work to do in other states, but my next plan is to do New Jersey after this. And 4 out of 99, I guess, isn't terrible. This is that one I talked about, that St. Paul Island. It's really nice to see that hunted credit getting up there. And I got to hunt a little bit more to complete South Carolina and some of these other states, but I'm working on some of these as well. Got my kilo going. That's awesome. I've already got it in one. I got to work on this other one to get that one down. Repeat offender action. I've got my Oasis already on that first park. I need to do a lot more to get some more there, and these other parks are the closest that I need to focus on to get my really high-end Podo awards, like Master Sportsman at some point if I ever complete the program, but I don't think that'll ever happen at this rate. We'll see. It's a goal of mine. Repeat offender hunter, 6-pack. It does everything for you as far as tracking. I just love the level that they're getting to, and there's going to be even more granularity we're going to be going into. I'll get into down the road here. Any questions or anything so far?
No, I think we're still rolling. Although Peter's offering some Hawaii contacts. He's got some extras, so he'll. I don't think it works that way though. Sorry, Ben.
Let's see. Let's edit preferences and call signs and stuff like that. So we've centralized that as well. So if you're in here already, you just go to your up here top right where your call sign and picture or icon is. Click on preferences. Bam. This is where I can go to Gravatar and change it if I don't like it, make it something new or something different. I got my email address. I've got, this is where I could add a call sign. If I had, I didn't work as KC3R BRW as my original call. I could add it in here, and I would just do it this way, KC3BRW, and I'd have a start date of when I got my license, which was December of 2014. I could do it that way, or I could just type it in.
Do those dates can they be on top of each other? For example, Hayden Ham Radio DX has a U.S. call and an Australian call. Can he have both of those in there?
Yes, you can. You can have as many call signs in here as you wish. You can, and this is how you would get like I always told people, please try to simplify the way you're doing your logging. Some people like to do like a /P or a /M or a /4 if they're in the 3 call area, that kind of craziness. You can do all that and log it that way too, but just keep in mind you have to go in here as well and do /P, /M, /3, whatever you want it to be to get credit in POTA. You have to add it.
Okay, that's good to know. So
But unless you do that, if you do send your logs in as W3AAX/M and it's not in here, the system's not going to know to give you that credit. So please, if you're logging that way, please put it in here as well as the way you're logging it. Say, like if I took a trip to Montreal and decided to go to Montreal to do an activation, I would add in here W3AAX/VE2. And that way, when I send my logs in with that call, it's going to, give me credit.
You the credit. Yeah.
And here I can click to send me, the word certificates. I can, if I don't care about awards, I can take it off. I can even opt into certain types of awards. If I only want to see my CW awards, I can do that. Or if I only want to see digital ones or band specific awards, that's another really cool filter that you can do in there as well. Let's see. I showed you guys the downloading of awards, and let's go through just to show people the new sign up process. Let me sign out. And let's say you're brand new to POTA. You haven't signed up. We've made it a lot easier to do that. So if you go to pota.app, this is what you'll see as a brand new user that's not signed in. You'll have a sign up icon right here at the top. And as soon as you go in, you're going to create an account, and this explains to you how that process goes. You're going to agree to our rules. You're going to agree to our code of conduct, which is basically the same as DX code of conduct and ARRL's code of conduct. You're going to review the FAQ. You're going to acknowledge that we've got a Slack support, we've got Facebook. They're not something you have to do. They're only optional. If you're the type that hates Facebook and hates Slack, you don't even have to touch them, but they're there as resources that, acknowledge that they're there.
And I will say, I don't Facebook, and I have some stuff that automatically posts there, but the only time I ever do go to Facebook is for the Parks on the Air part of it. Because seriously, if you've got a question that's not in the FAQs, those cats in there will generally get you answered up pretty quick. And, there really aren't any dumb questions in there. So
that's
Mike,
true.
KNMRD, he's a big POTA guy. He just made his appearance. So good to have you, Mike. Keep rolling, bud.
Good to see you, Mike. I appreciate all the support you guys do with all the different YouTube channels I've seen over the last few years. Has been outstanding. And I'm glad people are enjoying, just getting out to the parks, and having fun. That's what it's all about. We try to make this as simple, and when we talk about rules and whatnot, we really try to keep it as simple as possible, so you don't have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. They're right here as well, and from the main page, the help getting started has the rules, FAQ, and all that here. Just take a quick look. It's just basic, have some common sense. Don't treat each other as you would yourself. Golden rule applies. Don't make a mess of the park, leave no trace. That's really what it's all about. But it's just a few things here and there. We want you to go actually to the park, get inside the borders. And other than that, there's not really a whole lot to it, but definitely please take a really good close read to everything there and make sure that you're attuned to everything that we expect you to do. But that's pretty much it. You would just go through the sign up where you can choose if you already have an Amazon account, you can use that. If you already have a Google account, you can use that. If you already have a Facebook account, you can use that. We prefer you 99,000 times percent to please use an existing account. The reason being because we don't have to worry about your passwords. We don't have to worry about resetting your account. It's all with that service you already have. So if you've already got a working account with those three, you can use it for POTA. We do not have any of your password information. We have no way to connect to it, get it. It's all completely private. We just use your authentication that you get that bases it to know that it's you as a person. That's all we care about. If you insist on having your own name and password for us, you can do that as well. We kind of frown upon that though, because that's when you have to worry about passwords and all that mess. But just something to consider, when you're signing up. But that's really, that's really the extent of it. Let me get back to my page here. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. So any other questions y'all have, throw them in the chat. We have about 20 minutes. And so we've got plenty of time for some questions in there. And that brings me to, and you may be getting there, I don't know, but on this table, we have different color, I guess we'll call them badges for lack of a better word, next to their call sign.
Correct.
Talk, what are those, and how do we change colors? And keep in mind, I'm gearing it towards, Padawans and kids at the same time. They're all into badges and stuff like that. So
These here are actually just the icons, or it's the Gravatar thing I talked about. Let me sign back in.
So that's just their Gravatar picture. There is what that is.
See, I'm signing in with my Facebook account. I don't even have to type anything in. That's what's the beautiful about it. I'm already signed in now. So if I go to my preferences is where you set that. See, if you want to change your user profile picture, you create an account at Gravatar here. So if I click on this, just a note, just note that using the Gravatar for profile pictures is going to be a controversial feature. We are hard at work creating options for users to upload, their photos directly to Podo, but this will take some time. This is later down the road. But Gravatar is just a way that you upload a photo and it kind of carries across different platforms. That's all it really is. It's a WordPress type of feature. That's like a WordPress plugin, we'll say. And since I already had that in for my,
Okay.
I think I use it also for QRZ.com, that type of thing. Since I already had it there, I just popped it into that, and that's what gets carried over to. Oops, sorry. I'll show you guys this in a second. Let me go back to the spots. When you see these little icons here, that's all that is. And if you don't have a Gravatar, it just picks like one of these types of icons and puts it in there for you.
Okay.
That's all that is. It's not a badge or anything like that. But
all right, Tom Tango Oscar Mike has a question. How about notes for parks? Putting notes in.
That is something that I've been calling it like a park wiki database, and it's probably not the best description of it. What I'd like to see, and this is something that we've been wanting to work on for quite a while, but just haven't had the resources to do it yet. And it is kind of like on my next upcoming features list, is to be able to click on one of these parks. And let's just look at this one for an example. This is the 8154 Worth Mountain, right? So right now we have made a few changes in here that I think are really nice, where you got your reference, you've got your location, you got your longitude, latitude, got the DX entity. We are going to have it where it's going to have a park, like a URL for the agency there, who it is, who controls it. This is already telling you it's active, and this is a new feature. I wanted them to show who was there at the beginning, the first activation.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is the stats of, how many times has it been activated, how many attempts has there been, and how many QSOs. What I'd also like to see is a rating system where the park can have a sensitivity rating, whether or not that means like a good high sensitivity rating would be at like Catoctin Mountain Park here in Maryland. It's also near Camp David. So whenever the president's there, it's not a good idea to go tripsing through the woods around there and try to activate, because I have had the Secret Service there and all sorts of issues. So that would be marked as 1 to 10, 10 being highest sensitivity. I would give it a 9, right? And let's say Carrie also goes there. That's KB3 WAV, and she has a similar situation where she's told, hey, you got to be really careful. We'd like to know up front if you're activating. She would also give it an 8 or a 9. Well, over time, these numeric values would be averaged. So what I'd like to see is you go to sensitivity, and there would be an overall amount of sensitivity ranking there. Same for difficulty. It might be a park where you can only, like Theodore Roosevelt Island in DC is only accessible by either bike or walking. You cannot drive there. You have to walk across a bridge across the Potomac River. And you cannot ride any vehicles. You can't have, I don't even know if they allow wheelchairs there, to be honest with you. I would think they would, but there's gravel roads and stuff. But that would be like a higher difficulty, because you can't just drive up into a parking lot. So I'd like to see a numeric value averaged that tells you how difficult is this park going to be. In other notes, like maybe a section where you could add some comments and things about your experience at the park. We just got to be careful about content and what people can put up on the site, things like that. But that is definite information that I'd like to see all together on this one page here.
All right, and then another Tom, ON7DC. Is there a region responsible for every DX country, or are some of them grouped together? So, like, are some of your smaller countries grouped together, or does each country have their own representative?
The way I've looked at this, and let me go to the Parks in the Air site just to show you. Let's go to the best way to show you guys this is probably in the countries admins of the world. So if on the very main page, if you go to country admins of the world mapping, you'll see all the different people that help us with different countries. Now, let's take a country like a good example would be in the Caribbean. There's certain island groups that belong to, we'll say, like the Netherlands or France. Like Corsica is a good example, right? I would say that the person, Foxtrot 1 United India Hotel would be the one that would oversee that extra group because France controls that region, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
I try to, have, if it's an autonomous type of, if it's like it's an independent group, it's its own country, I try to keep it that way and have a country admin for it. Like, I'm not going to, like if the British Empire, was still involved in, Canada was under that, I wouldn't look to Britain to oversee it. I'm going to go by Canada having their own person. But when it gets down to the weeds, like, Antarctica has different groups in Antarctica, for example, or the Faroe Islands, I think they're controlled by another country, or like, I don't know, Denmark has Greenland, for example. Probably will just put Greenland in, being overseen by the Denmark admin. Does that make sense to you?
Yep. And if that did not answer your question, Tom, just drop it in there and let us know. And then Tim, the Nugget, Whiskey 8, November Golf Tango. When we get to that point where we're sending logs to the website direct, would you work with, say, like the Hammers log or other logging software used that can connect direct to the POTA site? Or is it gonna be like a export your ADIF file and upload it that way kind of thing?
That's a good question. I am familiar with the HIM RS. I know that I think it's Jarrett. That was the Jarrett Green, I believe, was the author of that one. I apologize if I messed up his last name, but we don't really have any partnerships with logging software programs. Like, usually when people ask me, what should I use for logging for POTA? I'll say N3FJP because I love the software. I've used it for a long, long time, even though there's a fee involved. Scott and Kim's support is top notch. I've rarely ever had to ask them a question, but anytime I've asked them a question, they are the first to be bam right there, answer it. But so we don't really have any official ties to any logging software. I might ask the staff what they think about that, and if we could maybe make it easy on a few as far as doing the uploads out of the logs. That's a good question. I'm not completely against it, but there are some support issues that might come into play that we have to be careful about when you're talking about auto uploading from log, software and things like that. So I'll get an answer for you in the future on that one.
Right. And then why is there no country manager in Sweden?
Great question. Good to see you, Arnie. If that's how you pronounce your name, I apologize if I butchered it. But Sweden, the only reason why they're not in POTA is I haven't had anyone ask to put Sweden into the program. I've been more than willing to work with anyone from any country that's not in POTA. So if you're interested, we do have a contact us link right on this main page. As you can see, contact us if you see an open position that you'd like to volunteer. Definitely click on that and fill out the information, or just send it to me directly. That's W3AAX at outlook.com. We have a template that we send out to people that want to help us. It comes from Andy Ragg, who's my country admin. We'll say he's the lead country admin. He will send a template for you to use to fill out for your parks. and we'd love to see all of Scandinavia in. I know we just got Denmark in, I think, recently, but Norway, Sweden, Finland. I think Finland's already being worked on, but Norway and Sweden are two countries that have just never have come up before. But I'd love to see them take part in POTA, as well as African countries. I've been trying to get someone to step up for South Africa and other nations. So it's on our to-do list. It's just a matter of getting to people.
And then Eric asked, and we touched on this one earlier, as far as, it pretty much has to be a state or a national park, but is it any state park? I mean, do all state parks automatically get, I guess, POTified? That's my word of the day.
This did come up, and it does get kind of hinky when it comes to does it qualify or not. And we did recently put in our rules to try to help people determine this. I put it in right at the bottom here, where this is basically the deal. It's limited resources. We have a limited capacity to add new parks. When it comes to U.S., I mean, when it comes to outside of U.S., we're pretty open because we're growing as we speak. The United States is pretty well established, I think, on new parks, unless they're legitimate new national or new state parks that we're not aware of, that are newly created. I think we've pretty much have covered the basis on that. We cannot include parks that have part or shared ownership, sponsorship, or are operated by private organizations or local governments, like city parks, Sierra Club, Nature Conservancy, things like that. We do not create sub-parks of parks that are already in existence. And we require activator to do research to determine if the park, if they've, I'm sorry, this is the last part of this one particular thing, but if it's owned by the state or by the government of the United States, then it's easy to say yes. But if it's one of these partial government sponsored parks, we don't really want to get into the weeds on that. So we do have thousands upon thousands of parks already there. Please focus on what's in POTA and not what is down the street from you, if you don't mind, because we already have made it where if you drive literally 30 minutes to an hour, it's really easy to get to a park. When you kind of compare that to SOTA, I've got to go 3.5 hours to get to my nearest mountain. It's a bit tougher to deal with that. When it comes to POTA, I think unless you're in the middle of Nevada where there's really not a lot of anything, that you could probably get to a park pretty easily at this point, I would say.
And then, do you know off the top, did Corps of Engineer Parks make that cut? As far as I know, like WMA's wildlife management areas and national forests and all of those things are parks, generally speaking. So
all I can say is that, to my knowledge, and I will have to double check with John Ford. He's the one that's been helping me for this past year and a half on keeping track of the United States and adding the right parks. He's already, I believe, put in the Corps of Engineer parks that would be qualified.
The easiest way to check that would just be, if you have a Corps of Engineer park you're thinking of specifically, go to the POTA website and look and see if it's in there.
Pretty much at this point, I think we've added everything that should be added as far as that makes sense. There's so many rules and so many different ways to look at ownership. It's really, what's the word for it? You're breaking hairs to this point of trying to figure out what qualifies, what doesn't. If you do see a new park that's state or national level that needs to be included, that's being developed or that's already been developed, that's ready to go, then that's one thing. Like we just included a new West Virginia National Park that's really beautiful. That's in the Gorge. It's one of these newer parks that I'm excited about people getting to activate. But aside from that, I'd be surprised if people found parks that were, that should be in the site that's not already there. But if you do, please go to, and this is why I put this on the main page. If you do see a park that you think should be added, go to this list of United States mapping representatives. And here you've got all their names and call signs. Now, the reason why I don't put their email addresses up here is because of spam trolling crawlers. It would be a nightmare for everyone if we did that. Look them up on qrz.com, please. If you don't see an email address there, send it to me and I will get you in contact with them. But they're my voice basically for every state and territory in the union. So
are you saying you don't want all 50 states worth of people emailing you all their questions? Just
please
okay.
No.
So, all righty. Well, we are coming up on the end. I'm going to bring Kyle in. Kyle has the next upcoming stream. Jason, thank you very much. This is some exciting stuff. And Kyle may have a question or two as well. So we'll see what he's got. I know that he does a little pota and soda and stuff. So we'll bring him in and see what we've got here. Kyle.
Hello. How are you?
Great. How are you? So you're coming up next. And any quick questions for what I am calling the pota guru here, since he kind of anybody that can answer all those questions that qualifies in my book.
I don't. I just want to thank you on the Podo website, the Podo program. It is awesome. It is regenerized the amateur radio community, and thank you. Just want to say thanks.
It is bringing out all kinds of hams who haven't been active for a good while are coming back out to what I call play Poda.
Yeah.
So
it's the last dump of parks really put a lot more parks in my area. So I'm excited to go out and activate the ones that haven't been activated yet. So good job.
So, all right.
Much appreciated.
So Kyle, what have we got coming up on your channel in a minute?
We got Node-RED. If you ever wanted to know how to automate your ham shack with a piece of program that runs on a Raspberry Pi or a computer or Windows or Mac that you can program yourself and get it up and running, you can control your radio, your rotors, your antennas, your tuners, your amplifiers. We're going to talk about how to build those dashboards in about 45, or we're going to do it in about 3 minutes, but it's only going to be a 45-minute presentation because we got to get back on the hour. But yeah, we're going to talk about Node-RED.
Very good. I've heard a good bit about it, but I don't know anything about it. I've just heard, the new CEO at the league is big into it, and it's one of those things I've been wanting to learn about. So I'm looking forward to it. So any last minute questions anybody has, or Jason or Kyle, any parting words?
Just one quick thing before you guys jet over. One thing I did not have a chance to go over is the new My Logbook. If you go to the little ellipse as you're logged in, you go to My Logbook, it'll actually have where you can sort all your log as your activator, as a hunter. And if you want to see only park to parks, you can do that by easy, manipulation up here. You can use a date range. You can do a search for a particular call sign.
Okay, hold up. I'm going to back you up a second because we have 2 minutes. So you said I can sort that by just looking for park to parks here?
Yeah, once you logged into the system, you go to the ellipse up here at the top and go to My Logbook. This will bring this up where you can sort all your contacts in POTA as an activator or hunter by doing the switcheroo here. And if you only want to see park to parks, you can flag it as no, or you can flag it as yes, and it'll actually show you those as well. You can put a date range, and you can also do a search by a particular call sign or whatever criteria you want to look for. That was one thing that was very brand new. Colby WR5B, I want to say. I hope I'm not butchering his call sign. I'm doing this all by memory, but he had just told me about that today, and I wasn't even aware that this was an option. So this is something that's really nice and new if you want to try to track some of your content. And we've got lots of things coming. I didn't even get a chance to go through all over it, but hopefully next time you'll have an opening where we can have another chat.
Absolutely. You are welcome anytime. So yes, Arnie, I do live in Mississippi, and much appreciated. I am looking forward to, it seems like every time I open the app, there's something a little bit new on it to play with. So,
and all the staff loves you too, Mike, KMRD. We are very appreciative. All we ask of you guys is with this next, 2 to 3 days, be patient with the information. It might be cached, which means you might be having old data in your, browser. Hold shift and hit F5 or click the refresh icon to make sure you've got the latest data. And if you see anything kind of wonky, after a few days, if you guys see kind of bugs, we've got 2 places for bugs to go by. Very important. And this just got added to the FAQ. If you go to Slack, it's pound POTA bugs. That's POTA bugs is the channel we want you guys to use for all production stuff. If it's something that's new on the horizon coming and we're playing around with ideas, it's POTA next. That's pound POTA next. So I really appreciate all your time.
All right. Thank you for being here. And Kyle is ready to roll. One last thing. There is a link to support Parks on the Air on that website. It's right there on that front page. So y'all remember, it is all volunteer. Support POTA, and I do appreciate everybody who supports the Padawans. Now we're heading over to Kyle's channel. Y'all take care, and I hope to see you on the air. 7-3.
Salute.